AP students everywhere, hello and welcome to yet another edition of AP Daily Knockoff. My name is Ethan Chang and I am an 11th grader at San Marino High School, currently enrolled in Mr. Baconi's AP US History course. San Marino High School is a small, nationally acclaimed 9th through 12th grade public school located a half an hour drive northeast of downtown Los Angeles. And in today's video, we will be exploring APUSH Topic 5.8, Military Conflict in the Civil War. What you're probably asking, what do we need to know about this topic? Well, the answer to that question can be found in what's called the APUSH course exam description. With this answer, also known as the learning objective, now appearing on the slide before you. In other words, by the end of this video, and especially for the May APUSH exam, you will need to be able to explain the various factors that contributed to the Union victory in the Civil War. But before beginning my presentation on topic 5.8 and the related learning objective, I want to take a second and describe to you how I plan to proceed. First, I'm going to describe in one sentence the Civil War. Then I'll define the phrase military conflict. Then I'm going to describe some background to this war, focusing primarily on the factors leading up to it. Then I'll name and describe each of the factors that contributed to the Union victory. Then I'll provide a few short-term and long-term effects that flowed from the Union victory, before closing out with one or two good stories related to the war. In a nutshell, the Civil War was an armed conflict that was fought from 1861 to 1865 between the northern states loyal to the Union and the southern states that have succeeded to form the Confederate States of America. By military conflict, we mean warfare between factions within a nation. Now, there were a multitude of factors that led America into a civil war. History Channel suggests that this armed conflict started as a result of growing divides between the North and the South. We believe History Channel is referring to the economic and social differences between the two regions. The South's economy was heavily influenced by plantations and slavery, which led to the South's support of a strong state government and no national bank. However, the North's economy revolved around manufacturing and as a result used considerably fewer slaves. The North favored a federal government and a central bank. These differences eventually led to increased tensions and eventually conflict. So now, having described the Civil War and also having described the factors leading up to this war, it is time for us to answer the question, what were the various factors that contributed to the Union victory in the Civil War? The answer to this question can be found in Key Concept 5.3.1d. There, it says that although Confederacy showed military initiative and daring early in the war, the Union ultimately succeeded due to improvements in leadership and strategy, key victories, greater resources, and the wartime destruction of the South's infrastructure. In other words, there are four factors that contributed to the Union victory in the Civil War. 1. The Union had better leaders and strategy. 2. The Union had some key victories. 3. The Union had greater resources. And 4. The Union managed to destroy the South's infrastructure. Now, when Key Concept 5.3.1d suggests that the North had better leaders, our research suggests that they mean folks such as William T. Sherman, Ulysses S. Grant, and Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, led the country through a crisis filled with discrimination and prejudice targeting slaves. At around this middle of his presidential term, he issued the Emancipation Proclamation. Defined, the term emancipation is the process of being set free from legal and social political restrictions. A proclamation is a public official statement or announcement. If the Confederate States refused to return to the Union, the Emancipation Proclamation declared that all slaves located in the Confederate States would be free. This allowed Black Americans to serve in the Union Army, hundreds of thousands volunteering for the war effort. And when the key concept suggests that the North had some key victories, our research suggests that means victories at places like Shiloh, Antietam, and Gettysburg. And when the key concept suggests that the North had greater resources, our research suggests that this means the North had a larger population, a greater industrial base, a greater amount of wealth, and an established government. And when the key concept suggests that the Union managed to destroy the South's infrastructure, that means its buildings, its roads, its railroads, and its power supplies. As you are all aware, the North eventually won the Civil War. The immediate effects of the conclusion of the Civil War were loss of life, property damage, a bad economy, and the abolishment of slavery. Throughout the conflict, 620,000 lives were lost, marking the most bloody American conflict in history. The war destroyed an unfathomable amount of property, especially in the southern countryside. Not only was the infrastructure destroyed, but also the economy. Debt was high and businesses went bankrupt. The most important effect of the Civil War was the abolishment of slavery. On January 31st, 1865, Congress passed the 13th Amendment, declaring slavery illegal in America. In the long term, the Civil War led to a united nation, a stronger government, and the growth of industry. The war led to the solidification of a strong central government that we have today. With a united nation, the economy recovered and grew tremendously during the coming decades. The war also immensely influenced the ratification of the 14th and 15th Amendment. The 14th Amendment declares that all persons, including former slaves, born or naturalized in the United States, are granted citizenship and protection. The 15th Amendment permits African American men the right to vote. Thankfully, the Civil War omitted the formation of African American rights, which unfortunately is still being challenged in the modern day. Now, one fact I found extremely interesting was the role of women in the Civil War. During the war, women were only allowed to care for troops, providing medical care, cleaning, and cooking to the soldiers. However, some women nevertheless managed to find a way to enter into the battle, as evidenced by this photograph of a woman named Frances Clayton. She, along with 1,000 other women, would dress up as men and fight as soldiers for both sides. Most of the women went undiscovered during the duration of the war. However, some were discovered as a result of medical treatment at field hospitals. Upon discovery, most were discharged without punishment, yet some faced imprisonment and for going against this rule. With that said, you are now fully prepared to explain the various factors that contributed to the Union victory in the Civil War. And with that said, today's episode of AP Daily Knockoff comes to an end. It's been an honor and a pleasure, though I cannot take full credit for this work. My friends and fellow SMHS juniors, Karen Huynh and Sebastian Moggio, have helped tremendously to make this work possible. In other words, this work has truly been a team effort. Other than that, I just wanted to say thank you for watching, best of luck on this year's exams, and please stay healthy. This is Ethan Chang, wishing you all a great day, signing off.